Hello. We couldn't march our way into a second Yokozuna, but might we find a new Ozeki soon? Oh, we may. Softthrow!
Roll the salt, get in the ring. Welcome to the Dohyo!
Hello and welcome back to the Dohyo here on MrJWags channel. We are back with our bolder predictions for the upcoming May tournament, and wow, this one is going to be a doozy. And yes, for those of you with keen eyes, I am still on the road here in Ivans, Utah. We are entering Tech Week for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where I will be playing Willy Wonka. So if you are in the American Southwest, we are just about to start performances, so you need wait no longer. All the info will be in the Read More, so come check that out if you are in the American Southwest. And also a quick sumo shout out to friends of the channel Grand Sumo Breakdown. They were nice enough to watch my last episode on Ozeki runs, and they invited me on to talk. I love talking with the Grand Sumo guys, so if you are interested, I have it in the community post, or otherwise I have a whole playlist of every single time I have been featured on an episode of Grand Sumo Breakdown. So if you are into English language sumo crossovers, check out the playlist. Now, as I mentioned, we are heading into our final week of tech, which means it's going to be a very busy time, which means I'm going to be recording this episode a few days earlier than I normally do. So normally I like to wait till after the Kyujo announcements have happened so we can get a fuller picture of the Bansake, but this time we're just going to go early and assume that no one who already is entered is going to do so. So, who's in and who's out for this tournament? Well, in Terunofuji, looks like our Yokozuna is going to be back. Now, he has not completed a tournament since July of last year, and he has not won a tournament since May of last year. So the question is, how much Terunofuji are we actually going to get back? We'll be exploring that in a moment. Seoul Ozeki Takakeisho was hurt last tournament. Hopefully he will be returning and wrestling all 15 days. And returning to the Makauchi division for the first time since May 2021, former Ozeki Asanoyama, who was suspended, of course, for breaking COVID protocol and has now worked his way all the way back up. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. More about him later as well. Now for the question of who's out, we have two wrestlers who we know are not going to be participating in this tournament. First, former Sekiwake, Waka Takakage, sustained a knee injury. It looks like he is going to be out for at least the rest of the year, barring an excellent and very robust recovery process. But I would not expect to see him back in the Makauchi division until, say, 2025. So best of luck to him and a speedy and as pain-free as possible recovery. Also missing, a surprise Intai announcement from former Sekiwake Ichi nojo. Ichi nojo, of course, the Mongolian mountain. He's been up in the top divisions for a few years now. A regular up in the Sanyaku and the Joy. He was recently suspended for some behavioral disciplinary issues. Had worked his way back. Looked like things were going well. He won the Judo Yusho. He was about to make a triumphant return. And I guess he's not feeling as well as he had hoped. He is now out of sumo, and I do not believe he has secured any elder stock, so this may be the last we see of Ichi nojo. He, of course, won his first Yusho last year. He has 2 June Yushos, and if you've been following the Shadow of Hakuho series, in the absence of Hakuho, I think he would have had 3 Yusho, but would not have made Ozeki. Weird. He also retires with 4 special prizes, and as of his retirement, he was the active leader in Kinboshi with 9. He, of course, began as a Makushita Tsukedashi, shot up the lower ranks. He only spent 8 total Basho outside of the Makauchi division in his entire sumo career. And put that in perspective, he also had 8 tournaments at Sekiwake. He is also one of only 2 wrestlers in modern sumo to jump all the way from double-digit Maigashiras all the way up to Sekiwake in a single tournament. Of course, Ichi nojo showed up and had a spectacular debut, 13-2, down at Maigashira 10, shot up to Sekiwake the next tournament. The only other wrestler to do so was Maigashira 13 East Kyokuni back in 1964. So, Ichi nojo, not always the most consistent Rikishi, but when he was on his game, few were more dominant. Happy trails, Ichi nojo. May you find peace and prosperity wherever your shadow may fall. So So yeah, as I mentioned, this tournament is going to be a doozy. A lot of crazy storylines happening. First of all, Yokozuna coming back. We have an Ozeki, Takakeisho, who's in Kataban. He needs 8 wins to make sure he stays at Ozeki. If he drops down to Sekiwake, we need to promote another Ozeki. But fortunately, we have 4 wrestlers who seemed poised to possibly make Ozeki after this tournament. Ooh, that plus, Asanoyama, we have some JWags stuff to talk about. Also, because of the injury to Waka Takakage and a surprising number of interstable conflicts up in the Sanyaku and Joy. I'll put up a graphic here to show you. Those of you who are colorblind, I do apologize. But yes, it looks like the Joy for this tournament, or Maegashira, who might possibly face a Yokozuna, may drop down into Maegashira 4 or possibly 5 for this tournament. So there are a lot of separate vectors in play when it comes to my bolder predictions. Now, of course, as we all know, sumo is perfectly binary. Every match has a win and a loss. So the wins are going to go to some people, but the losses have to come from somewhere. Where are the losses going to come from this tournament? Well, I think they are largely going to come from the top of the Maegashira ranks. Yes, I see a lot of Maegashira carnage in May. So my first bold prediction is that Maegashiras 1 through 4, all of them except 1 will get Makekoshi. All of them. So that includes recent Sanyaku members, Abi, Tobizaru. A lot of very interesting and talented Rikishi in the top 4 Maegashira ranks. And my bolder prediction is that the one who's going to get their winning record Kachikoshi, former Ozeki Takayasu. Now, I am not expecting a Takayasu Yusho, but I do expect him to be able to hold his own in this Banzuke. He has a lot of experience, and if he's feeling at all healthy, I think he will get 8 to 10 up at Maegashira 2. And since Ozeki runs seem to be the topic of the day, my next bold prediction is that returning champion Kiribayama will in fact get double-digit wins in this tournament and get promoted to Ozeki after this tournament. My bolder prediction is that none of the other 3 Ozeki hopeful will get it. Now, Daisho is sitting at 22 wins over his last 2 tournaments, and of course a playoff loss to Kiribayama in the last tournament. Mathematically, he would need 11 to get up to the Ozeki standard of 33 wins, or if you checked out my last episode, which you should, it's amazing, we figured out that often they will allow 32 wins as the Ozeki standard, especially if the person had spent a lot of time up in the Sanyaku. Now, Daisho did start this run at Maegashira 1, but he has spent the majority of the last 2 or 3 years up in the Sanyaku. So I'd be willing to think if he got to 10, he would be promoted, but I don't think he's going to get to 10. Looking at Daisho's history and the fact that he is a pusher thruster, which generally leads to a few more error bars and how consistent your Basho is going to be, I see him getting between 7 and 9 wins. And even if he got to 9 wins and 31 total over 3, I don't think they would give it to him. Next closest in terms of wins would be New Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. He has 20 wins over the last 2 tournaments, no special prizes, no Jun Yusho. If he gets a 13 or a 12 in this tournament, that will likely put him in the Yusho race. I don't think he's going to get even close to that. I think this Banzuke is going to be a lot tougher than the past few we have had with the return of Terunofuji. Hopefully a healthy Takakeisho, Takayasu's back up in the Joy. So yeah, I think Wakamoto Haru is not going to get anywhere near 12 wins this tournament. And our final Sekiwake, Hoshodyu. Now, Hoshodyu is a fascinating case. He had 10 wins last tournament, only 8 previously, but 11 before that. And of course, he's had a very strong track record over the last year or so, getting 7 consecutive Kachikoshi in the Sanyaku. Now, to get up to 32 wins, he would need 14 and 1, which I think would definitely get him the Yusho here. I don't think he's going to get up to 14 and 1. I have him pegged somewhere between 9 and 12 wins. I think he is going to be on the leaderboard for a good long time, but the question is he going to still have that, I guess, Mitakeyumi-esque problem of always dropping 2 or 3 matches per Basho to Maegashira, who he should be able to beat? If this is the tournament where he figures that problem out, you could see a 14 and 1 out of him, but I think it's much more likely he hangs out in the 9 to 12 region. However, much depends on Takakeisho, and if he ends up losing rank, who knows what is going to happen. We will definitely need some Ozeki to be promoted, so if Kiribayama and Daisho and Wakamoto Haru all end up crapping the bed, we could see Ozeki Hoshodyu after this tournament. Now it's time for 3 Up, 3 Down, a recurring segment where we look at the Banzuke and I find people who I think are overranked and will probably do poorly and people who are underranked and will probably do very, very well. So, on my 3 Down, and I hate to start with this, Maegashira 6 and former Ozeki and 3-time champion Mitakeyumi. Ooh, we talked about this a little bit on the Grand Sumo Breakdown show. Yeah, he does not look good. Ever since he made Ozeki, he got double-digit wins in his first Ozeki tournament, and he has looked, I mean, for lack of a better word, broken since then. I do not have a lot of confidence that he is going to be bouncing back. I hope so, but yeah, this tournament I am not expecting him to get a winning record. Even though he's now dropped below the Joy, I still think it's going to be a very tough tournament for him. Also on the down list, Maegashira 12, Aoyama. Ugh. Now, Aoyama has been around forever. He's one of the oldest people in the Makuuchi division now. Not as old as Tamawashi, but he's getting up there. Now, Aoyama's been getting by for the past 2 or 3 years, having one amazing tournament per year and just letting that bump him up, and then getting 6 or 7 wins and sort of gently falling down the Bansuke before he leaps back up again. But at age 36, I'm just afraid the injuries have caught up to him. He's a little bit overdue for that tournament where he gets boosted back up. This might be it, but I think we are looking at a diminished Aoyama. So I would say be grateful for all the time we have with him. We may not see him in Makuuchi very much longer. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. I know. I've been underestimating him, and then he keeps doing well. I just see this as a very, very difficult Bansuke for a guy who is fundamentally a non-flashy, fundamental belt-type wrestler. We have a very difficult Sanyaku for someone who that is their primary mode of attack. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to beat Takayasu, Terunofuji, Takakeisho, if all those guys are healthy and fighting their best. So I could see him not even getting a Kachikoshi this tournament. I have him down for 6 or 7 wins. Sorry. But as always, I would love to be proved wrong by Wakamoto Haru, as he has done so many times before. Now on the 3 up, Maegashira 5, Kinbozan. Alright, I'm very, very excited about Kinbozan. He got 11 wins in his debut tournament. He's now bumped up to Maegashira 5, which I think is going to be just on the cusp of the Joy. Him and Koto Shoho just hanging out there. So I believe he's going to get some Sanyaku action, and I think he's going to get a winning record, even though this is only his second tournament in Makuuchi, and he's already up to Maegashira 5. Now, I mean this in a good way, but I see a lot of Shodai in Kinbozan's rise. He's a slightly more physically mature Rikishi than a lot of other people coming up. Unlike Shodai, Kinbozan was I believe, Sandanme Tsukedashi, and he was able to skip a few rungs on the ladder and get up here. And I think he still has a little bit more physical growth to work out. I think he has a lot more mental growth to work out now that he is new to Makuuchi and has to figure out how to wrestle this group of wrestlers he's never faced before. But I think the learning curve will not be as steep as a lot of other wrestlers because he has been around so long. He's 25. I think he is going to make Sanyaku by the end of the year. Let's go Kinbozan. Also up, Maegashira 10, Ryuden. Now, Ryuden is always hard to predict because he has a lot of nagging injuries. He has hip and pelvis injuries, so you're never quite sure how he's going to feel entering the tournament. He, of course, had a terrible tournament last time. Ended up with, I think 13 losses. Got dumped way, way down the Bansuke, but I think Maegashira 10 is a very safe rank for him, and I think he is going to clean up down there and probably end up with double-digit wins. There aren't a lot of people down there I would expect a healthy Ryuden to have problems with. Perhaps the only wrestler I would see Ryuden being worried about is Maegashira 14, Asanoyama. Yep, the former Ozeki is back, and he is looking great. He has a combined 27 wins over his last 2 tournaments. He broke 13 wins for the first time ever in his past 2 tournaments, so that's looking up for him. And I think a year of rest and being able to sort of bone up his technique on lower-ranked wrestlers has overall helped his game. Now, he's a little long in the tooth to be making, say, a Yokozuna run at this point, but I would not be surprised if this 29-year-old can make it back up to Ozeki. Maybe not this year, but early next year. But yes, I expect Asanoyama to do very well down in the Maegashira teens. I expect him to do incredibly well in the first week, to be on the leaderboard, and to get promoted heavily down the stretch because of his excellence and possible Yusho-itude. Now it's time for Which Way We Goin'? This is a recurring segment where I am not quite sure where certain wrestlers are in their growth of sumo aging curves, so I think this tournament will tell us a lot about what their future holds. First up, Maegashira 9, Onosho. Looks like he has hurt his knee again. Now, if it is not that serious, I could definitely see him rebounding and popping his way back up into the sort of lower joy mid-Maegashira regular we have come to learn as Onosho 2.0, but if this one turns out to be a bit more serious, I am a little bit worried, so let's see where he is coming into this tournament. Next up, Maegashira 6, Meisei. It's really hard to draw a bead on him and figure out where his true talent level lies. Because his good tournaments tend to be very good, and he looks on his games like, this guy should be upsetting a whole bunch of people. Why isn't he higher ranked? And then when he gets higher ranked, he gets some 5 and 10s in a row and gets bumped back down. So I'm wondering if it is a nagging injury issue, if it is something larger, or if he's just not matching up very well with this Bansuke as the young hotness starts to rise and overtake him. Hopefully this will be a bit of a bounce back tournament, but I don't know, so we'll see. And last on the list, and probably will be here almost every tournament from here on out till he retires, Maegashira 5, Kota Shoho. So he goes from 2 tournaments ago getting the Junyu show to the next tournament getting like a 6 and 9, then he only gets demoted like half a rank, so awesome for him. But is he a 6 and 9 wrestler at the very cusp of the joy, or is there something else there? He is a maddeningly inconsistent Rikishi, and I really need to see a bit more out of him before I can start calling him future Yokozuna again. I know. But I think this tournament, if he can manage to get 8 or 9 wins, even 7 or 8 wins just to prove he belongs at this part of the Bansuke, I would take that as a win for now. He's still very young. I think he's only 23, so he still has room to have a few more leaps and have a very long and successful, hopefully, Sanyaku plus career. My next bold prediction, I guess it's not that bold anymore, but I believe our Yusho winner is going to get a 12 and 3. Now, I've pointed out in fancy graph form that 12 and 3s are actually reasonably rare when it comes to Yusho winning scores. They're even less common than Zensho Yusho. But being where we are in this sort of diminished Bansuke, we have a lot of parity at the top. I can absolutely understand how most of our top Rikishi all have a path to 3 losses. My bolder prediction is because the Bansuke is so balanced right now, and by that I mean I think we mostly have our people in the sections of the Bansuke where they belong. I think we are going to have 15 wrestlers, so over a third of the wrestlers are going to get either 7 or 8 wins. I'm going to see a lot of records right there on the Kachikoshi line. I don't see a whole lot of wrestlers getting double-digit wins or double-digit losses in this tournament. Now, we've talked about the Sekiwake a whole lot, but what about those Komusubi? Well, Wakatakakage, not going to be in the tournament. But Kota no Waka, I see him getting 9 to 10 wins and starting speculation of his own Ozeki run. Now, he got a 9 last tournament. If he gets a 9 this tournament, that'll be only 18, but that will still be 2 consecutive 9s up in the top division. So I think we're going to start getting some Ozeki buzz off of him this tournament. Bolder prediction, we are also going to get 9 to 10 wins and possible Ozeki talk about Komusubi Shodai. Yeah, okay, so Shodai, of course, ended up dropping out of the Ozeki ranks, and the second he cleared Ozeki, and then Kataban Ozeki, and then Ozeki Wake, 10 wins. He got 10 wins from the top of the Maegashira ranks. He's back up into the Sanyaku. If Shodai's problems were largely mental and that he couldn't handle the pressure of being an Ozeki, then no, I don't think that is going to be possible going forward for him to re-Ozeki. But if, as I am hypothesizing, a lot of that issue he had was still lingering effects from long COVID, perhaps we are going to start seeing boss-level Shodai again. And perhaps if we start losing Ozeki, Shodai could be a person to come up and stabilize the Ozeki rank for maybe another year. Stabilize the rank. Shodai, what timeline are we in? My next bold prediction, Yokozuna Terunofuji returns, finishes the entire tournament, and ends the tournament up on the leaderboard in the Yusho race. Yes, while I do not expect him to regrow cartilage in the off time, I do expect him to still be the excellent fundamental Rikishi we have always seen, and to still have that Yokozuna dominance and focus we have come to expect from him. Do I expect another Zensho? No, but I do think he can get to 12 wins. My bolder prediction, Kadoban Ozeki Takakeisho will clear Kadoban. He will get his 8 victories. But the bolder prediction is he will get exactly 8 victories. You will see that he's been Kyujo quite a bit at Ozeki, and when he comes back, he either tends to come back super strong and get double-digit wins, or he just gets right to the 8. And I think this is going to be one of those tournaments where he gets right to the 8, and perhaps gets his hashtag 8 and out once he gets his 8. If he's still feeling any aches and pains, he may leave a little bit early. But here's hoping for a full 15 days out of Takakeisho. I would love it if he came back and surprised us with another Yusho, but this time I think this is just going to be more about preserving the rank. That's right, here it comes, the Yusho pick. Well, my bold prediction is that our Juryo Yusho will go to Ochiai. Yes, the young teenage phenom who only spent one tournament in Makushita, and this is only his second tournament in the paid ranks. So his third tournament overall, I think he's going to get his first Juryo Yusho. If I'm going to be wrong about this kid, I'm going to be wrong about this kid in the most positive way possible. I see a lot out of him, and I would be shocked if he's not up in Makuuchi by the end of the year. And the bolder prediction, of course, is the Yusho pick. Now, normally I can schwunk down my list of possible Yusho winners to like 2 or 3, maybe 4. Now this tournament I had 6. I had 6 wrestlers I could definitely see a pathway, even like a dark horse pathway to the Yusho. I was looking at Terunofuji, Taka Keisho, some of our former champions like that. I was looking at Hoshodyu. If he can just get that extra little jump, I expect a lot out of him. Kiribayama, if he takes a tiny little leap, he could come back and defend his title. Takayasu, if he is feeling his oats, could definitely get up into the 12-in category. But you know I love a dark horse, so we're going to be going with Maegashira 14 Asanoyama will win the Yusho with a 12-3. Now, as I've mentioned several times before on this show, Asanoyama's original Ozeki run was not quite what we would consider a dominant Ozeki run. He only got 32 wins. His Yusho was not even a part of his Ozeki run, and he never got to 13 wins up in Makuuchi. Now I agree, first time back in Makuuchi in a while, things are a bit different. He hasn't faced a lot of the wrestlers up here in a bit, but I think that first week he's going to be able to bank a lot of matches against wrestlers who he is fundamentally better than. I think barring suspension, Asanoyama's true talent level is definitely in the top 10 Rikishi, and he is going to prove that right. So, if he can manage to bank a lot of wins in the first week, a la say an Abi Yusho, then I think he'll be able to hold his own in Sanyaku and be able to pull out 12 wins. But as I said, this tournament has so many different storylines, so many balls up in the air. This one is going to be a doozy. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dohyo. Please, if you have not already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This just means you will be notified every time the Dohyo drops a new amazing episode, and it will tell the YouTube algorithm to spread the Dohyo love everywhere we go. And if you didn't like it, I am the lock-picking lawyer. Please stay tuned to the channel. We will have all of our May Basho quick strike updates, and of course our giant wrap-up at the end of the tournament, and I cannot even imagine what we're going to be talking about then, because these things never go fully as planned. So remember, stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and I will see you next time on the Dohyo.